My name is Democrcay. I want to welcome you all here tonight. Thank you all so much for coming. We are so grateful that you've come here tonight, especially to learn about the crisis in Syria, as well as the donations you've given that will be going directly to Syrian refugees to the UNHCR, which is the United Nations Refugee Agency. So before I introduce our speakers, first we have Majid Rafizadeh. Majid is an Iranian-Syrian scholar, human rights activist, and columnist for the Harvard International Review. He completed his Fulbright teaching scholarship in the U.S., where he taught religious studies in the Religious Studies Department here at UCSD. He has previously taught at several other universities, including Damascus University, and he is a frequent media commentator speaking on programs such as CNN, BBC Persian, and Al Jazeera, speaking both in English, Farsi, and Arabic. And then we have Professor Walid Afifi, who is born in Lebanon and raised in Lebanon of Muslim descent. He is a professor in the Communications Department and is chair of the Middle Eastern Studies Department. He received his PhD from the University of Arizona, and his current emphasis is on uncertainty and informational management. Professor Wong Kambo received his PhD at the University of Chicago and is Associate Professor of Religious Studies with an emphasis on history of religion, particularly in Islam and Arabic. And he is very involved in the UC Education Abroad program. And then finally, Stephen Humphreys is a professor of Islamic and Middle Eastern history. He received his PhD from the University of Michigan and has lived and traveled throughout the Middle East to expand his studies. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you first. Thank you all for coming to me. I want to thank Professor Rose for organizing for either organizing or for helping the Syrian refugees. I'm honored to be the office and I think about Syria. And I think I will defer the most important things to their expertise. And since I've been approached by many people who like to contribute to the change in Syria or interested in their politics of the Middle East, and by different people have been asking questions related to the civil war, the process of civil war, or the practicality of foreign intervention in Syria, I thought today I might change the focus a little bit and share with you my personal experience going on in Syria, and hope that will shed light on the bigger picture I'm moving forward. First, I want to make it clear that I'm, as she wrote there, I'm Syrian Iranian. I grew up both in Syria and Iran. I remember when I came to the United States in 2009, there was a kind police officer at the airport, Washington, D.C., and he told me, "You're even Syrian?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You just need a North Korean wife, then you will have the three axes of evil at the same place." The essence of evil. So I grew up in Damascus, and I remember when I was in high school. Can I have this? Yeah, thank you. This is the neighborhood I grew up in. My brother sent me last week from Damascus. It's a working class neighborhood. And in high school, when we wanted to talk about politics, I remember that we had to take turns in each other's homes, lock the door, be careful that nobody there overhear us, and even use codes. For instance, I remember for back party we used hummus or Bashar, we used falafel, so if anybody heard us, they wouldn't know what we were talking about. I'm not going to go through all the code. They might be using that now. And one day after one of these meetings, we were walking down the street, and there was a new photo of Bashar at that time. And I told them his father is ready to pass power. And then I was immediately approached by two people who were wearing my shirt, plain clothes shirt, and they said, "Why did you come to the photo of the son of the president?" And I was in high school, so I told them, I didn't know it was illegal to point to a photo, and I think, by the way, he has a nice smile in the photo. And then they said, "Well, it seems like your parents haven't taught you to shut up when you talk to the Mukhabarat." And Mukhabarat is the security forces. and were taken to the police station. I won't bore you with the details. And what we're doing today here, talking, discussing, debating, sitting around each other, was a dream. And I think it's a dream for all Syrian people. And in my opinion, I think the number one reason that the Syrians have taken to the street is to achieve the basic fundamental human rights that American Declaration of Independence calls inalienable rights. I think these are universal rights that endowed in us by virtue of being human. And I think what the people want is just to be treated as human, not to be treated as objects, and not to be subjugated or dehumanized or humiliated. And in my opinion, this is the number one reason. And the recent poll has shown actually across the Arab world when they asked the young people, why do you go to the street and risk your life? Why do you raise the bullet? And they said dignity. Dignity was number one. And of course there was economic prosperity, there was social integration, and there were political authoritarianism, and there were different reasons, but dignity was number one.